Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Ren 7. How you doing? Today we're going over Anti-Valor's defense, and they've got some really cookie-cutter style teams, and I think we can do a little bit better. I'm going to try to talk to you guys more about what counters what. A lot of you have been asking for that, so we'll go through. This is a good place for us to start when you're working with some of the normal stuff. If you've never seen one of these before, we grade kind of on placement power levels, who you're using, ISOs, all that sort of stuff. Not so much anymore because there's a lot more going on in Crucible than back in the old days when we used to just cover War. And if you want your defense featured on Defense Up, whether it be War or Crucible, new rules coming to War, so it could be a good time to get in on the list. Just message me on Discord. Links are in the description below. We'll get you on that list, and then we'll go over your defense live on stream, and if you want to be a part of that conversation, those links are in the description below as well. All right, team number one is the Secret Defenders Noir, and we're seeing a lot of this. A lot of people kind of frustrated with it, but we're finding some good counters for it. One good counter is the New Warriors with Echo, or the Masters of Evil with APOC. Those are solid choices. You can also go with a Darkhold, like a Darkhold Quicksilver, because of the MLF breaks down that assist chance. That's why we like Echo or Darkhold for that. Those are good counters for this. Personally, I use Masters of Evil APOC against this team. I would like to talk to you about Striker on Noir. If your Noir is built big, the general consensus is go ahead and make him a Striker. However, for anything like this big or smaller, you should probably go with a Skirmisher to make sure you land bleeds. The more bleeds you land, the faster the Robbie goes, and that's kind of good because Robbie is an incredibly powerful character and you want him taking as many turns as possible. Zero was in voice today and was talking to us about a bunch of different hybrids that involve putting out as many bleeds as possible and making that Robbie just go and go and go and go. So really interesting stuff. I think this is fine. I personally think that this Noir should probably go to a Skirmisher, leaving that vulnerable on the field and boosting that focus to land a few more bleeds. I'm still going to give it an A, though, but it's really close to an A-. I think you could be doing a lot worse than this. All right, room number 2 is Infinity Watch. Now, Infinity Watch is becoming a Cosmic Crucible staple. They are a speed bump on your opponent's road to success. They are totally beatable. They just take a while to beat. And so you want to throw them in there because they're simply a better choice than any other junk you're going to throw into a useless room. And Temporal Shielding, somewhat of a useless room. So this is fine for your Infinity Watch. However, we are going to be moving Infinity Watch to room 3. We'll talk about that in a minute. This Infinity Watch, we want to swap places with Moondragon and Adam Warlock for the perfect placement. Personally, I don't think it matters all that much, but whatever. We're going to split hairs today. Also, Anti-Valor needs to take these all to blue 3 ISOs. There's no reason not to. We can all, most of us can afford blue 3 ISO, and I think it warrants this. I don't think we should waste gear on this team. Every Crucible season, I say this is the last time you're going to see Infinity Watch, and then they're going to be power crept, and then every season they still come back. Whatever. Also, Phyla-Vell as a Skirmisher is a big no-no, and that's why this team is getting a B-. We need to fix that ISO, fix that placement, and then bring those ISOs up to blue 3. Then we're going to move this team over to room 3 and move what's in room 3 over to room 2 because we don't like Gamma in 3. In 3, they have that reduced ultimate, and it makes this team act kind of wonky. Red Hulk doesn't benefit from it. He's still not using his ultimate. And you just don't want it to happen this way. I don't like it the way it times with green. It just doesn't work that well. What beats this beats it even better in 3. So we're going to move this to room 2 so that they play like a normal Gamma, and that's going to be that. Abomination needs to be a Raider, not a Striker. And that's about it. Everything else is good enough. Not super exciting team, but it's okay. So I'm going to give this team a B-. It's pretty close. Again, I mean, Anti-Valor has his 6 best offensive teams ready to go and doesn't have much more to spare for defense, and that's why we're seeing some cookie cutter stuff. We saw over here this Infinity Watch that Adam Warlock isn't quite starred out. He scrambled to get Adam Warlock up and running just to have a decent team to throw in there. And Adam Warlock's kind of an expensive legendary to go. All right, room 4 is the Unlimited XMen. We want to take and swap places with Phantom X and Dazzler for reasons that are too complicated for me to explain right now. Has to do with the counters and who you're spreading negative effects from, trying to kill the Gambit and stuff like that. So just get Phantom X in between Gambit and Dazzler. And a thing you can do to improve this team is swap out Fire Chicken for Phoenix. That's going to help with some of the counters. Now, what you want to use to counter this team is whatever you don't use in Room 1. So if you're using Masters of Evil in Room 1, you're going to use New Warriors to beat this, and vice versa. Still works against the Phoenix composition, still works if you swap placement and all that stuff. It's just you're going to do the best that you can with your placement and who you're using on defense to maximize those efficiency points against your opponent. Also, as a caveat, you can still use the Walking Hate counter, which is Dormammu, Cap Sam, Kestrel, and then we're going to take out Sharon Carter and we're going to use Nova instead, and it works even better. I think the other one's somebody else, like Fury or somebody. Yeah, Fury. So you get that team going, and then you basic off of a Gambit to get rid of evades. It's a whole thing. Go way back in my catalog to see how the Walking Hate counter works. It was a real fun counter to work with. This isn't terrible. We can just find ways to improve it. I'm going to give it an A-. I think it's a good team for Room 4. Room 5 is the Death Seed team. We simply want to make Mags a striker, and this becomes good enough. Magneto's a skirmisher, probably for raids to make sure in that second node he lands the blind on the Silver Surfer, or for previous seasons we used him as a skirmisher to make sure the trick worked against the Mystic team. It's old news though. So change it back to a striker, use the team in its vanilla settings. The way you want to beat this is an Eternals speed team. So you're going to use like Eternals, Echo, Red Guardian, and somebody who applies speed up like Cap Sam or Fury will get that team going fast enough that you end up lapping this team and destroying them with your Eternals. It's a pretty efficient way to do it. Otherwise, you can beat them with the Mirror. Mirror's a great way to beat this team. So for me, this is an A-, just that one little tweak on Magneto. And in Room 6, we have the Mystic Bifrost team. And I'm not excited about this, but it's what Anti-Valor has to use. And we went over and over and over this, and there's no changes to be made here. Other than you could maybe take out Kid Loki and put in Valkyrie, and that gives you like a 50% chance. Valkyrie's probably going to get clipped off and die because she's probably smaller than this team. But if she dies, then it gives the team all those stats, or at least a 50% chance, and that's some RNG that makes this team a lot harder to kill. Takes a lot longer, so that's something you could do. Kid Loki outside of raids isn't doing hardly anything for this team. If you don't like this team and you want to try something else, you could use Gamma or Gamma with Big Time. You could use Rebirth or Rebirth with Zemo. Those are all good choices for Room 6. Room 6 is somewhat of a nothing room again. And so you're just trying to use things that kind of soak up turns and make your opponent's score that much worse. Honestly, this isn't bad for the roster size that Anti-Valor is working with. Like we said, he's trying to keep everything he can on offense to be efficient and get those wins. And so we end up with a bunch of these cookie cutter teams. Probably the biggest thing is get this Gamma out of 3. It's not functioning right in 3, so we're going to swap it with Room 2. And then everything's hinging on whether or not Anti-Valor's opponent knows how to beat this. And if Anti-Valor's opponent is watching this video, then Anti-Valor's opponent now knows how to beat it pretty efficiently. And that's why you should like and subscribe to Run 7, because every once in a while, somebody tells me something useful and I pass that information on to you. So remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.